When my period came early and I asked a female colleague to lend me a sanitary pad, Veronica Gaines narrowed her eyes and said coldly, her lips curling into a mocking smile. Girls these days really have no shame. You even dare to tell others about your period. I stared at her, confused. What was so shameful about menstruation? Didn't she have one herself? But instead of answering, she pointed at me angrily, spit flying as she shouted, "Didn't your mother ever teach you to hide such dirty things? Even your period can't stop you from being indecent, can it? No wonder you're so cheap at such a young age. Fighting for a position in our department, must have slept your way up here." Veronica raised her voice and called out to everyone, listen. Isabel is on her period today. If you want to sleep with her, you'll have to wait. In that moment, I finally understood her hostility. It wasn't random, she thought I was trying to take the sales manager position from her. But she was only half right. I wasn't here to compete, I had been sent by headquarters to secretly evaluate who was fit for the role. Not wanting to argue, I quickly picked up the sanitary pad and prepared to go to the restroom, but Veronica stepped in front of me again, blocking my path. "I'm doing this for your own good," she said with feigned concern. "A woman without self-respect is like trash. Don't think you can get rich by lying down all day and dreaming of easy money. I've seen plenty of girls like you before. Let me tell you something." I cut her off, my tone cold. "You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You should know that." I gave her a thin smile. "It seems like you've made quite a lot of money by lying down yourself, haven't you?" Her face turned crimson as she jabbed a finger at me. "I'm teaching you a lesson. Stop twisting my words. I would never be like you. Look at yourself, you didn't even hide your pad, just holding it in your hand. No shame at all. No wonder you drive such an expensive car. Acting like this in front of everyone, what must you be doing in private?" Whispers spread through the office. "Veronica has a point," one murmured. "Her Ferrari costs over $1 million. How could a girl in her 20s afford that?" When my father sent me on this unannounced inspection, I told him I wanted a simpler car. But he refused. "Be yourself," he said. "I want you to observe not only their performance, but also their morals." He had been right. Some people couldn't hide their jealousy when they saw a young woman driving a luxury car. I looked at Veronica and said calmly, "It's true. My dad bought it for me. Is there a problem with that?" She burst out laughing. "Oh, I know your type. You call every man daddy, don't you? I bet you're the most eager one in bed. Go somewhere else if you want to sell yourself. This is a proper company. Don't bring your dirty tricks here." A colleague, unable to stay silent, spoke up. "That's not true. Many young people these days come from wealthy families. They work for experience." But one of Veronica's followers sneered. "Oh, so this is the new excuse for mistresses now?" Veronica crossed her arms, smirking. "You're just jealous of Isabella's sugar daddy, aren't you? Since you're also eager to defend her, why don't you share her around? Sharing happiness is better than keeping it all to yourself." The world has really changed. People laugh at the poor, not the shameless. She suddenly pointed at my pants and laughed cruelly. "Oh, look at Isabella's pants. My goodness, you're disgusting. Cheap and shameless." I pushed her aside and hurried into the restroom. Her mocking laughter echoed down the hallway. People like her can't even hide their true nature. Don't trust her, she's probably someone's mistress already. Because my clothes were stained with blood, I left work early. When I reached the parking lot, Veronica was waiting by my car, her expression smug. "Do you know how powerful I am? If you admit defeat now and withdraw from the race for sales manager, I'll let you go. Otherwise, I can destroy your reputation within a week. Do you believe that?" I tilted my head slightly. "If you really think I have strong connections, do you believe your petty tricks will work on me?" She laughed coldly. "You're naive. Do you know what people fear most? Public opinion. Once your reputation is ruined, even your so-called connections won't protect you. So my advice? Don't aim too high. Be a mistress, make easy money, and don't fight for what doesn't belong to you." "I heard 2 young women resigned recently," I said evenly. "Was that your doing too?" Veronica smiled proudly. "You're quite clever. People still call them mistresses. They can't even find new jobs now. So what if they were? So what if they weren't? She continued with a smirk. Their names are ruined anyway. If you don't want to end up like them, leave while you still can. I met her gaze. Veronica, I joined this company through my own ability. I won't quit because of your threats. And one more thing, spreading false rumors is illegal. I got into my car and drove off. In the rearview mirror, her face twisted with rage. A few quiet days passed before she struck again. When I entered the office, several colleagues greeted me with mocking smiles. Veronica sat at her desk, looking triumphant. The mistress in the photo, who else could it be? She said loudly. I ignored her, but she stuck out her leg to block me. Why so late today? Tired after sleeping with someone? What are you talking about? I asked, frowning. Don't act innocent, she said. You spent $1,000 on a perm yesterday. Your salary is $4,500. Where'd the money come from? If you're selling your body, just admit it. She waved her phone. I even know which room you booked afterward. You really are bold, hooking up with Mr. Boyle from head office, who's old enough to be your father. Veronica, I said coldly, if you keep spreading lies, I'll see you in court. She scoffed. You? Sue me? You're unbelievable. The judge would laugh you out of the courtroom. Some co-workers chimed in mockingly. Isabella, your reputation's already ruined. Stop pretending. Veronica's just trying to guide you. Do you really believe her nonsense? I shouted. One of them snorted. Check online. The photos are already everywhere. You'll be famous soon. I unlocked my phone and froze. The city's news feed showed a video of Mr. Boyle and me entering a hotel. The headline read, to get a promotion, she seduced a married manager. I turned to Veronica. Have you been following me? She raised her chin proudly. What's the problem? You did something dirty and now you're afraid of being exposed. I'm just standing up for justice. Just then, the office door burst open. A furious woman stormed in, Mr. Boyle's wife. Veronica hurried to her. Mrs. Boyle, this is the woman who seduced your husband. Mrs. Boyle's eyes blazed with hatred. You shameless woman? She screamed, grabbing my hair and kneeing me in the stomach. Pain shot through me as I staggered, while Veronica pulled out her phone and started a live stream. Everyone, look. This is the mistress from the video. She earns $4,500 a month, drives a Ferrari, and spends thousands at salons. Yesterday I even found out she had $100,000 in her salon account. I always wondered where the money came from, now we know. The livestream exploded instantly. My cheeks burned with humiliation. Mrs. Boyle yanked my hair again and shouted, You're going to return every cent my husband spent on you. Then you'll kneel and apologize, or I'll strip you naked right here. I have nothing to do with Mr. Boyle, I gasped. I went to the hotel to meet a client. Lies. She screamed. You're just a branch salesperson. Do you think I'm stupid? Veronica added eagerly, as soon as she walked in, I checked with the front desk. She booked a room herself. I met her gaze, my voice calm but sharp. Veronica, spreading lies has consequences. Are you ready to take responsibility? She sneered. Who would believe that a senior manager would bring a low-level employee to meet a client? You're wrong, I said firmly. It wasn't Mr. Boyle who took me there, it was me who took him. I'm the CFO's daughter, Mr. Anderson's daughter. My father asked me to meet the client on his behalf. Veronica burst out laughing. Mr. Anderson's daughter? Why not say you're the president's daughter too? The CFO's daughter working in a branch office, fighting for a sales manager job, who would believe that? I grabbed my phone and dialed. Dad, please come to the branch office, now. Before I could finish, the door slammed open again. A tall, dark-skinned man stormed in and slapped the phone out of my hand. The man didn't even look at me, just at the phone skittering across the floor. No calls, he growled, planting himself between me and the door. Mrs. Boyle hovered behind him, breath heaving, mascara smudged. Veronica angled her camera to catch all of it, giddy with the views ticking up on her screen. Keep streaming, I said, steadying my voice. Evidence is a beautiful thing. Veronica blinked, thrown for a half second, then smirked. By all means. Say hi to the audience, Isabella. It's Isabel, I replied. And you might want to save this VOD. Your lawyer will need it. I took 2 steps sideways, giving myself a line to the glass wall. Outside, I saw faces, curious, delighted, uneasy. I raised my hands, palms open. Everyone, please listen carefully. I will say this once. I did not sleep with Mr. Boyle. I met him at a hotel yesterday for a client meeting, on behalf of headquarters. There are emails, calendar invites, and a signed NDA to confirm it. If you accuse me again without proof, I will file for defamation, harassment, and workplace violence. And in case anyone missed it, I was assaulted in front of witnesses. The big man snorted. Tough talk. Touch me again, I said quietly, and you'll be dealing with building security and the police. I glanced at the nearest desk. Sandra, pick up your phone and dial the emergency line printed under your monitor. Now. Sandra hesitated, darting a look at Veronica, then at me. Her finger moved. The line rang. Mrs. Boyle shoved past the man, her voice fraying. You think you can lie your way out of this? He spent money on you. Show me a receipt with my name, I said. Or even better, show me anything that says the payment wasn't reimbursed as a business expense. If your husband violated company policy, that's a separate issue. But you don't get to break the law because you're hurt. Her grip on my hair loosened as footsteps pounded in the hallway. 2 uniformed guards appeared at the door. Veronica tried to angle her camera to keep them off frame. The guard didn't care. He took one look at the scene and said, "Ma'am, step back. And you, put the phone down." Freedom of the press, Veronica chirped. Freedom doesn't cover harassment, he replied. This is a workplace. Lower it. She lowered it, just enough to keep recording. The taller guard turned to me. Do you need medical? I'm fine, I said. But I need HR present. And the branch manager. And an IT representative. We need a data hold placed immediately, emails, badge logs, CCTV, hotel invoice confirmations. Veronica laughed. Listen to her pretending to be important. Pretending, I said, is you staging assaults to farm views? The branch manager finally pushed through, Mr. Keating, rumpled and already sweating. What in God's name is going on? Defamation, harassment, and assault, I said. Please escort Mrs. Boyle and this gentleman to the conference room. Keep them separated. Preserve all footage. IT needs to lock Veronica's account access now and archive her live stream with a legal retention tag. Harassment policy sections 3 and 5 apply. And we'll need the visitor log for the last hour. Keating blinked like I'd slapped him. On whose authority? On the authority of the internal audit directive you received last week, I said. Which you didn't read. He paled. For the first time, the room felt properly silent. The guards moved, professional now that this had a label. Mrs. Boyle sputtered about mistresses and money, the big man muttered curses, both were guided out. Veronica clung to her desk, knuckles white on her phone. You're bluffing, she said. Internal audit? Please. Then you won't mind if we pull your access logs, I said. Let's see whether you used the CRM export function at 11:13 p.m. last night. Let's see all WhatsApp backups to your office drive. Let's see who messaged you the hotel timestamp. Her mouth snapped shut. HR arrived, Lydia, brisk and watchful. She gave me a quick once-over. Do you need first aid? I need you to note that I was physically attacked, I said. And I need you to sit with Veronica while IT performs a compliance capture of her device. Lydia nodded and turned to Veronica. Hand me the phone. It's mine, Veronica hissed. It's also a source of potential evidence, Lydia said. You may keep physical possession. But you'll surrender a mirrored copy of all data from the last 72 hours. Veronica swallowed. On what grounds? An ongoing internal investigation, Lydia said evenly. And a credible claim of harassment targeted at a protected health condition. Veronica's eyes flashed. Protected, menstruation isn't. Sex-based harassment includes shaming someone for menstruating, Lydia said. So yes, it is. The office seemed to exhale. I could feel dozens of small recalibrations happening, people trying on a new version of events, wondering how much of their laughter from earlier would come back to haunt them. Mr. Boyle appeared in the doorway next, gray-faced, jacket half on. He stopped when he saw me, then saw HR, then noticed the guards. His throat moved. "Where's your wife?" I asked. "In the conference room," Keating muttered. "Separated." "Good," I said. "Mr. Boyle, please sit with HR. You'll provide your travel expense report, the client NDA, and the hotel itinerary." There was no, he faltered as Lydia lifted a brow. "Yes. Yes, of course." His gaze flicked to me. "Isabel, Don't apologize to me," I said. "Apologize to your wife." He flinched. While HR got busy, I crossed to my desk and opened my laptop. Fingers steady now, I pulled up the audit portal, keyed in my token, and issued a preservation notice to IT. Hold all relevant files for user accounts V. Gaines, R. Boyle, A. Keating, and front desk staff who handled inquiries the previous evening. I added the hotel liaison email chain, my own badge swipes, and the client's meeting confirmation, subject line, pre-brief materials. I attached the time-stamped calendar invite from my father's assistant with the note, "Isabel to stand in for CFO per instruction." When I turned my screen slightly, people could see the seal at the top of the portal, Headquarters Compliance and Audit. Veronica saw it too. For the first time, some of the heat bled from her face. "You forged that," she said weakly. "IT will confirm," I replied. A ping. Sandra looked up from her desk. "IT online too. They received the hold. Also, Headquarters called back. There. Already en route." Keating made a small choking sound. "En route? Who exactly?" "The CFO," Sandra said. "And legal. And the chief people officer." Veronica's grip tightened on her phone. "So what? Your daddy will protect you?" "That proves everything," I said. "No," I said, and let the disappointment in my voice carry. "It proves you were warned, and you laughed." Another ping, this time my personal mail. The hotel sent their CCTV still, me and Mr. Boyle in the lobby, seated across a glass coffee table, both fully dressed in office clothes, papers between us. The timestamp matched the calendar. The reservation was in the client's company name, no room charge under mine. I forwarded it to HR and legal. "Why the hotel?" Someone asked from the back, tentative, curious rather than cruel now. "Client preference," I said. They were hosting a roadshow. We met in the lobby to sign documents. Mr. Boyle left 30 minutes before I did. Then the video, another voice began. "Shot from behind at a distance," I said. Deliberately framed. Veronica's jaw worked. "You still spent $1,000 on a perm." "On a salon account my mother opened for me when I was in college," I said. "It's prepaid." "The balance you screamed about?" "It's a gift account, with statements addressed to my family's home." Snickers died in several throats. Mrs. Boyle's voice rose in the conference room, thin and breaking. Mr. Boyle's quieter tone followed. The guard shut the door. Lydia leaned toward Keating. "We need to suspend Ms. Gaines pending investigation. Effective immediately." Veronica shot to her feet. "You can't." "You will be on paid leave," Lydia said, unblinking. "You will surrender your keycard and laptop. You will not contact any employee, contractor, or client. If you tamper with data or intimidate witnesses, your leave becomes termination with cause." Veronica looked around wildly, searching for one loyal face. The followers who'd snickered with her moments ago found sudden fascination in their keyboards. She settled on me. "You planned this," she said. "You came here to ruin me." "I came to evaluate this branch's readiness," I said. "Competence. Ethics. Culture. Your choices did the rest." She laughed, brittle. "Even if your precious HQ team shows up, you'll never win the court of public opinion. The internet never forgets." "The internet also never forgets where lies started," I said. "Your stream. Your captions. Your comments inciting harassment. Your instructions to your friend at the hotel to get the angle that hides our documents. He used his own employee badge to access the mezzanine camera, didn't he?" Her face drained. I don't know what you're talking about. IT will. I nodded toward the glass wall. And the police will too. The office lights flickered as if the building itself had taken a breath. An elevator bell chimed. People straightened, eyes pulled toward the reception area like iron filings to a magnet. Footsteps. Low voices. The chief people officer appeared first, crisp and contained, flanked by 2 members of legal. A moment later, my father stepped into view, composed as ever, silver tie, unreadable eyes. The air in the office changed. Even the vents seemed to hush. He saw me. Relief passed over his face, subtle but real. Then he saw Veronica, the phone still in her hand, the live view count mirrored in her eyes. "Good morning," he said to the room, as if we were starting a routine status meeting. "We'll be conducting a formal session in 10 minutes. Until then, no one leaves, and no one deletes anything." Veronica opened her mouth, perhaps to perform one more bright, cruel line for her audience. Lydia gently placed a hand over the camera, and for once, Veronica didn't fight. My father's gaze settled on me last. "Isabel," he said, calm and public, the way he always kept things. "Are you ready to proceed?" I took a breath. "Yes." "Good," he said. "Then let's begin." Behind the conference room glass, Mrs. Boyle lifted her head. Mr. Boyle stared at his hands. The branch held its collective breath. And Veronica, stranded in the center of her own spectacle, finally lowered her phone. The conference room filled fast. Legal took the far side, the chief people officer sat at the head, and Mr. Keating hunched into a corner like he wished the drywall would swallow him. Mrs. Boyle had mascara comet tails and a stare that landed everywhere but on me. Mr. Boyle kept a white-knuckled grip on a paper cup of water. Veronica sat 2 chairs from the door with her phone screen face down, as if the glass might still save her. The CPO opened a folder. "We're here to address 3 matters," she said. "An alleged affair, alleged financial impropriety, and confirmed harassment culminating in a physical assault. We will establish facts first." Legal walked through the timeline with the steady calm of someone used to people lying to them. Emails. Calendar invites. The NDA. The hotel CCTV stills. The lobby receipt with the client's company name. Badge logs showing Mr. Boyle entering the hotel at 7:02 p.m. and exiting at 7:38, me exiting at 8:05. The client's assistant, on speaker, confirmed the meeting and the documents signed. A slow, embarrassed silence settled in the room. I watched it move across faces like cloud shadow. "Next," Legal said, "we'll address the live stream and associated commentary." Lydia slid a printed transcript onto the table. Veronica's voice, preserved in black and white, the taunts about my period, the insinuations, the invitation to a mob. Attached were screenshots of comments that escalated because she fed them. I watched Veronica read her own words as if they belonged to a stranger. "Ms. Gaines," the CPO said gently, almost kindly. "Would you like to explain why you asked the hotel staffer to access the mezzanine camera after hours?" He used an employee badge to get an angle that obscured paperwork. Veronica's throat worked. "I didn't ask." "Please don't," Lydia said. "We have the WhatsApp thread." A beat. Veronica sat very still. "He offered," she said, as if that softened it. "Everyone wants the truth." "You wanted a narrative?" Legal corrected. "There's a difference." Mrs. Boyle folded and refolded a tissue. "So you're telling me there was no affair," she said finally. Her voice had a raw, scraped quality. "No affair," Legal said. "You are, however, entitled to address any concerns directly with your husband and with HR regarding his judgment." Mr. Boyle stared at the table. "I should have suggested the client meet at our office," he said quietly. "I should have anticipated how it might look. And when the video started circulating, I should have shut it down. I was a coward." He looked up at his wife. "I'm sorry." Mrs. Boyle didn't look at him. "You let me humiliate myself," she whispered. "In public." He flinched, then nodded, because there was nothing else he could do. The CPO turned to Veronica. "Ms. Gaines, effective immediately, you are suspended pending termination for cause. Grounds include harassment, creating a hostile work environment, incitement, and coordinated manipulation of third-party systems to harm an employee's reputation. You will surrender your badge and any company devices before you leave. Legal will advise you separately about civil exposure. Veronica's composure cracked. Termination? For words? For actions, Lydia said. Your words orchestrated them. Veronica's gaze jerked to me. There was a flash of the old contempt, and then something I hadn't seen yet, uncertainty bordering on fear. You're going to drag me through court because I said what everyone was thinking? I'm going to hold you accountable because you turned a normal human moment into a weapon, I said. Because you taught this office to laugh at blood and call it proof. The CPO looked at Keating next. As for the branch, Mr. Keating, your failure to act on the audit directive and your failure to intervene when policy violations were obvious are serious lapses. You are relieved of site leadership, effective today. You will remain as an individual contributor until we complete a broader review. Keating's shoulders sagged with something like relief. Perhaps even he had wanted to stop pretending he had control of anything. The meeting adjourned with the clean, quick motions of a team that has done this before. Security escorted Veronica to collect her purse and her cardigan. She kept looking back, as if someone might call her name and say it had all been a test she'd passed. No one did. The big man who'd slapped my phone stood outside with his hands in his pockets, a study in sullen silence. Security asked him for ID and then asked him to leave the premises. He went, muttering in a way that said his audience had always been himself. When the door closed, the room exhaled. Colleagues avoided my eyes and then, one by one, found them anyway. Sandra came first, twisting a rubber band in her fingers. I'm sorry, she said, cheeks burning. I laughed. You called security, I said. Thank you. She nodded, watery. Another co-worker, the one who'd chimed in with a cruel little chorus earlier, cleared his throat. I'm sorry too, he said. I followed the crowd. I made myself hold his gaze. Then don't, next time, I said. Not for me. For the person who won't have an audit portal or a father to walk in behind them. Word moved fast. The hotel informed legal they had terminated the staffer who accessed cameras for Veronica and were cooperating fully. The platform that hosted her stream took it down after a flood of takedown requests from legal, tagged with phrases that make moderators sit up: doxing, targeted harassment, safety risk. A retraction went out under the branch letterhead, signed by Keating because that was one thing he could still do. The city feed that had amplified the scandal posted an update correcting the record. The original headline was edited. The traffic graph fell like a stone dropped from a balcony. By afternoon, my father had finished walking the floor with the CPO, speaking softly to people who suddenly found reasons to be far away from their screens. He came to my desk last, not as the CFO, not as the man with a silver tie, but as my father. You did well, he said simply. I did what you trained me to do, I said. Document. Breathe. Ask for process. Even so, he said. His gaze drifted to the restroom door at the end of the hall. That should never have happened. I know, I said. That's why I have a proposal. He watched me as I outlined it: stocked menstrual products and every restroom, paid for by the company, a written addendum to the harassment policy explicitly addressing menstruation and reproductive health as off-limits for ridicule or shaming, mandatory training for all people managers on responding to rumors and online mobs, a standing rule that client meetings default to companies' spaces unless legal approves otherwise, a confidential channel for reporting weaponized gossip, monitored by HR and compliance together. And a pilot program, in this branch first, a culture team chosen by peers, not managers, with the power to call timeout on behavior in real time. When I finished, he didn't hide his pride. Drafted, he said. We'll implement it. I took the long way to the restroom that evening, when the floor had emptied and the echoes of the day had softened into the hum of the building. It smelled like lemon cleaner. A small wicker basket had appeared on the counter, filled with pads and tampons, a discreet sign beside it: take what you need. Someone, Lydia, probably, had moved faster than policy. I stared at my reflection. A thin red mark on my scalp where Mrs. Boyle had grabbed me was fading. The rest of me was simply tired. When I opened the stall, I thought of the morning, of Veronica's voice pitching itself higher and higher to be heard, to be believed, to drown out the ordinary fact that bodies do what bodies do. Shame hadn't been in my hands, it had been in their eyes. All day I'd pushed that truth in front of them like a shield. Back at my desk, a message pinged from an unknown number. It was Mrs. Boyle. "I am sorry," it read, "for what I did to you. It was easier to be angry at you than to admit I was angry at him, and afraid of what people would think of me. I was wrong. If you press charges, I will understand." I stared at the words. I could already hear the strategic advice: press charges to set precedent, settle to avoid headlines, file a restraining order, take the win and move on. I sat with the options until they flattened out. Then I typed back. "I will not press criminal charges this time," I wrote. "But I am filing a formal report with HR, and I expect a written apology on record. I hope you and your husband find a way forward that isn't built on humiliation." There was a long pause. "Thank you," she sent. "It won't happen again." Another message arrived, this one from the two young women who had resigned. Word travels faster than policy. One had seen the retraction, the other had watched Veronica being escorted out and had cried in a bathroom stall because vindication can feel like grief when it comes too late. "If you want to come back," I wrote, "the door is open. If you'd rather not, send me your resumes. I'll make calls." The next morning, the branch looked different. It wasn't the furniture, it was the atmosphere, relieved of static. People said good morning like they meant it. A dish of mints appeared near the printers. Someone replaced the fluorescent tube that had buzzed for months without anyone finding the time. Small repairs for small harms, the kind that accumulate until something breaks. Lydia scheduled a town hall. The CPO stood beside her and spoke plainly about what had happened, what would happen next, and what would no longer be tolerated. There were no euphemisms. We took questions, anonymous and live, and held the silences when people were brave. When it was my turn, I didn't give a speech. I said, "Here is what I wish someone had said to me yesterday at 9:17 a.m., I'm sorry that happened to you. What do you need?" Then I said, "Here is what we will say to the next person when something happens to them, I'm sorry. What do you need?" It wasn't profound. It was the sort of sentence a culture can build scaffolding around. By the end of the week, legal had negotiated a retraction statement with the city feed. The first 10 seconds of Veronica's stream had been mirrored to too many accounts to erase, but the pinned top comment on each surviving copy now read, "Disproven, subject exonerated, harassment confirmed." People who had laughed in the first round left small, awkward apologies in the second. The algorithm, bored, drifted on. Shame loses momentum when it can't find purchase. On Friday afternoon, my father called me into the tiny windowed room where we'd first met the client. He closed the door and leaned against it. "There's the matter of the sales manager," he said. "Your evaluation. Your recommendation." "Not Veronica," I said. "Obviously." "Obviously." His mouth softened. "Your short list?" I gave him 3 names, none of which were mine. He looked at me for a long moment. "It could be yours." "It shouldn't be," I said. "Not here. Not now. They need someone who grew up in this branch, not someone who parachuted in with a portal and a last name." He nodded slowly. "Then you'll stay until the transition is complete?" "I'll stay," I said. "Long enough to make sure the basket in the restroom never runs out." He smiled at that. "I can live with that KPI." We walked out together. People straightened, and then, realizing he was half smiling, relaxed again. He stopped at the reception desk, wrote a quick note, and slid it under the glass. On his way to the elevator, he touched my shoulder. Not a declaration. Not a rescue. A recognition. When the doors closed behind him, I stood for a minute and watched the brushed steel reflect a stretched, faint version of me. A week ago, I might have looked for the Ferrari key fob as proof of armor. Instead, I found my badge lanyard between my fingers and turned it over, reading the company's name until the letters blurred and refocused into something I could choose to belong to. On my way out that evening, I passed the restroom. The basket had been refilled. Someone had added a little card with a doodled moon and 3 words in careful print, "You are fine." It made me laugh, quiet and real. In the garage, Veronica's old spot sat empty, its painted number echoing in the low light. I unlocked my car and slid in. The engine woke like a cat stretching. I let it idle, hands loose on the wheel, while the day folded itself into a story I would not let other people tell for me. At the exit, the guard raised the gate and gave me a small salute. I returned it and pulled into the thinning city. A red light caught me at the corner. I waited, and when it turned green, I went.